So you don't get a wide exposure across the entire business, entire team, including founders, including CEO. So this is very exciting. And then the key thing about a startup is you get dynamic mentoring. It's a very dynamic environment. Things change from day to day, and some days are good, some days are bad. But yet, I think you get some really good mentoring if your founding team is great. Decision making, you'll be forced to make decisions, which typically you will not in large companies. And finally, if you're part of something which has a great momentum, it's a great high. You will never get that kind of a feeling in a large company. Okay. Anirban, there are 7 people in the waiting room. You may want to admit them. Okay, so all these companies, the logos on this slide, they all basically started with a small idea. Whitehat Jr. I remember Karan coming and telling us about his thing about drag and drop programming 2 years ago. Big Basket, we were an investor. Swiggy, we are an investor. Byjus, we did not invest. Flipkart, we were an investor. Ola, we are an investor. So these are all ideas that were very, very basic, but they had huge impact because they were addressing a big marketplace and they were addressing a space where you could actually have more than one leader. And all of them have done very, very well, including Zomato, Swiggy, Oyo, Ola, Byjus. I mean, I don't have to actually go through and mention these names to you. Our portfolio, there's some exciting plays here. You look at Acko on the left, it's India's first digital insurance company where you can actually get micro insurance for even cab rides or small trips or small purchases, which is fantastic because you don't have to pay an annual kind of fee for coverage. Bog Orchard from a company called MGH Lab is basically a device that kind of, it's actually, the interesting thing was this particular thing was incubated in IIT Madras Research Park. And what it does is basically, it simulates the human pheromones and attracts mosquitoes and actually kills them, especially the disease-causing female mosquitoes, vis-a-vis dengue, malaria, and other kinds of flu strains. Then we have MoEngage, which is basically a leader in marketing engagement. These were IIT Kharagpur guys. They graduated around the time I was a prof. I actually had the privilege of teaching them, and I've seen them grow from 2013 to where they are now. The last round, they raised capital, $20 million at a pre-money of $100 million. So they're doing very well, and they've actually gone global. Essentially, what it does is they provide a toolkit which gets dropped into your APK. All of you guys are familiar with APKs, which are mobile runtime, basically apps. So you actually kind of create an APK with the MoEngage toolkit, and then what it does, it tracks all the clicks, all of the user interactions on your mobile app that you've released, and it gets accumulated and analyzed and sent back to the originator of the application, so they can actually start to engage with customers through deals and push messages, etc., in a much more efficient manner. Then we have IQLEC, which is basically a next generation tech company, which is a small, very, very fast non-SQL database, which is focused on streaming data and visualization, a small data stack. So it's a very lightweight, aimed at MSMEs, and it's basically a SaaS-like play. So I'd call it a SaaS play. Seclor is basically in the information management space. Once again, an enterprise SaaS company. They're now north of $10 million in revenue, and valuation is getting close to about $80 million. They've shifted from India to the US. The core team was IIT Bombay guys, which came out of something called Sign, which is very, very similar to IITM Research Park. We have iNurture in education, which is basically a hybrid offline, online model for next generation courses like machine learning, data sciences, AI, and other kind of courses which typical universities may not be able to kind of teach because they don't have faculty. And so these guys actually provide faculty. They actually kind of augment the faculty in existing universities, actually provide virtual classroom infrastructure to kind of provide these extra courses. And it's part of their curriculum, AICTE degree curriculum. So unlike other kind of edtech plays which give you a certificate like Simply Learn and Talent Spring. iNurture actually gives you a valid degree. Now, this may not be as applicable to IIT students because you're going to get a degree anyway, but think of it as a variant of NPTEL plus traditional courses. But like I think you guys are a little bit more privileged, but like this is aimed at the tier 2, tier 3 colleges which don't have faculty yet they want to actually teach these courses. Then we have Kissht. Kissht is basically a fintech company which uses data analytics. They use about 35 parameters to actually provide loans, inclusion loans of a small value and small tenure to the unbanked people. And it's basically backed by a bank. And they've been doing fairly well. They've got a loan book itself, which is close to, I would say, 300 crores. And they've been, their NPAs are much lower than typical banks. So they're actually seeing very good results, and they've partnered with several leading banks. Ekincare is India's first digital healthcare platform, which is an enterprise tech play, which is aimed at employers to offer outsourced patient care to their employees. Because today, if you look at our health insurance, it's kind of screwed up in India. It only covers hospitalization, but doesn't cover a whole bunch of OPD, as we say, which is outpatient care, which could be a small procedure. It could be basically consultations, etc. So here, for a fee, Ekincare provides all of that for per employee, and then they can actually transact using the platform for other things like doctor consults and even ordering medicines. Indus OS is a very exciting company. They've actually developed their ex-IIT Bombay guys. Oh, by the way, Ekincare is IIT Madras. The CTO is IIT Madras. Indus OS, both the guys are from IIT Bombay. And they are basically an exciting company which creates their own thin veneer operating system on top of Android. And this basically allows people to kind of interact in very easy ways, intuitive ways with the Android OS. And in today's kind of digital kind of situation in India, 300-400 million people have smartphones, and majority of them do not know English. And so this enables them to actually transact, do a lot of things which a typical Android user does in tier 1 metros. So this is pretty exciting. They are deeply partnered with Samsung. Samsung is one of the players who have also invested in them and actually opened up a business relationship. They have OEM relationships with Vivo, Apple, Samsung, Indian OEMs like Carbon and Micromax. And the whole idea is basically to be the leading OS on top of Android, at least in the India context and Southeast Asia. E2E Rail is a very interesting company, more traditional, engineering oriented, where basically the next generation signaling systems and rail tracks are required for a number of ports, and E2E Rail focuses on that. And so they take turnkey projects from essentially anywhere, any kind of port project or any kind of transportation where a private party is involved, and they build the entire thing, design the rail, build the entire thing and the signaling for the end customer. Boonbox is a very interesting rural assisted commerce play, because what we realized was India is not just about the 5 or 7 major metros. It's also about rural India, where people have the money to spend and they want to actually procure things like white goods, maybe a TV, maybe a washing machine, maybe a mobile phone, maybe some other electronic gadgets for the kitchen. And they have no good way of doing that. So Boonbox ties up major brands with their own logistics, last mile delivery to rural centers, which makes it easier for people in villages and tier 4 cities to actually order stuff and get stuff on a convenient EMI payment scheme. And they've also been doing very well. They've actually exceeded revenues of about 150 crores since they started. And hopefully they will get to a point where they become a large player. Edge Networks is another company of ours, which is focused on HR tech. It's an enterprise SaaS kind of play, which allows leverage of graph matching and AI and machine learning to make sure that we get the best possible match in terms of job descriptions vis-a-vis internal resumes as well as external resumes. So it actually cuts down all of this inefficiency, which is typically there in HR functions or even job portals, to a matter of, I would say, at least 6 or 7x in terms of throughput. And so it's been used by a lot of large enterprise services companies like Wipro, Infosys, as well as large MNCs who have like Accenture, etc., who want to actually kind of make sure that they get a team in place very quickly to kind of engage on certain projects, and they're not able to find both internal and external resources. So that's basically a quick look at our portfolio. Now, these are some of the promising things that we are looking at or looked at. So for example, Postman, I think most of you folks who have done computer science or EE or writing code right now basically are aware of Postman. Postman is another company that when I was at Helion, before VenturEast, I was a venture partner at Helion, and I had actually mentored Abhinav Asthana. Today, Postman's valuation itself is $2 billion. They're all about API management and testing as far as REST APIs are concerned, and one of the leading kind of API management tools. Infinite Uptime is a very interesting IIT Madras startup, which basically focuses on Industrial 4.0. What they've done is they've taken essentially failure in moving parts which are circular, which could be a motor, which could be a spindle, which could be a gear, and they're able to, based on vibrations and their own particular database model, predict when something is going to fail. For example, a bearing failure or a gear failure or a spindle failure in large plants. And I think Ronak, who's one of the founders, is from IITM, and they are basically a company that we will invest in very soon. SigNoz is basically founded by IITM folks. Again, I'm a mentor there. We haven't invested. The founder is a gentleman called Pranay Pratik. You might be aware of it. It's a very exciting company which actually allows you to monitor applications on the cloud. Typically what happens is cloud vendors allow you to kind of monitor infrastructure components like servers, network, throughput, databases, etc., but they do not kind of monitor it at the application level, which is very critical. And that's basically what SigNoz enables. And they're working with Amazon. So I expect to see very, very good things from SigNoz in the future. Fussell is another interesting company, which there's another one also called AI Bono. They're focused on agri-tech. AI Bono is again an IITM guy. Fussell focuses on essentially bringing technology to improve essentially yields in small to medium-sized farmers who have about anywhere from 3 acres to 5 acres. And they focus on horticulture, which is basically fruits and vegetables, because those are multi-seasonal or they are basically seasonal, and they have a decent margin if you up the yield. So they have interesting sensors like sensors on the leaf, sensors on the bark, sensors in the soil, which allows you to predict what is required in terms of both moisture and fertilizer. Dozy is a very interesting company, again, IIT Bombay founded. Essentially what it does is patient monitoring in a non-invasive manner. They use, again, vibrations from below the mattress to figure out if the respiratory rates are good, pulse rates are good. Very, very interesting, using sound as a mechanism to actually distinguish normal kind of heart rate, normal kind of breathing rates, which are very critical for patients, especially elderly when they're alone. And they have this nice kind of engagement app as well as connection to the cloud where you can actually monitor the patient. Hasura is a very successful company out of IIT Madras. Tanmay Gopal, I think he is probably 2010 or 2011 computer science batch. Again, someone I've been involved with since they started. They used to be called 34th Cross because I think they had a house on 34th Cross, Indira Nagar in Madras or Chennai. And today it's called Hasura.io. Very, very interesting company which is going to go places. It's basically a developer stack for microservices architecture, which leverages GraphQL, and you can put up apps very, very quickly. I'm going to talk a little bit about their opportunities in a later slide in this presentation. These are some recent IITM startups. Some of it you might be aware of. I think I mentioned a few. So Detect is another company that we're talking to. I think one of the founders is being in touch with us. I've already mentioned SigNoz. I already mentioned Infinite Uptime. I've already met Docs app is another health tech app which is doing fairly well. They just raised a recent round at a valuation of close to 120 million USD or close to 1,000 crores. Ather Energy, again, a company that I have personally mentored. Hyperverge, another company that I've personally mentored. Kwanzoo is a US-based sales enhancement, AI-driven, machine learning-driven startup, which is based out of the Valley, Mountain View, but they are looking to hire in Bangalore, India. And Hasura, I already talked about. So these are exciting times for IITM startups. So I think rather than focusing on going and joining a JP Morgan or a BCG or a McKinsey, I think these companies offer a lot compared to those large companies, because you'll end up actually doing a lot of analysis, and it'll be basically more of a back office job as opposed to basically being involved in something very, very exciting. So that is basically what I'm trying to underscore during this presentation. So Anirban, you have it being recorded, right?
Yeah, it's being recorded.
Yeah. So this is basically some stuff on Hasura. I'll just get rid of the animation, because I think they were trying to get a little cute. I don't like animations as much. Okay, sorry. So you have it here. I mean, the world's largest banks, largest aviation company, largest clean energy, clean tech company use Hasura. Okay. They do it all without sales and marketing, which is fantastic. They've got a fantastic open source community built up so that like people can download and get going. And as a computer science engineer, you'll use basically 50 to 75% of what you've already been exposed to in the industry. So they are looking to kind of hire some really good people. And if this is visible to you guys, you can apply. I'll leave these slides with. I'll have Anirban send these slides to Pranjal, who's your placement coordinator. Then you can actually apply to Hasura. There is basically an email handle down there. This is basically another profile on SigNoz, what they're doing. I mentioned that they do application or software monitoring, systems monitoring on the cloud, and they can figure out if there's something wrong, how can they fix it quickly, which is very, very critical for large online companies, because it's their business, and if something goes wrong, then they become they actually lose a lot of business anytime there's a downtime on their offering on the cloud. Basically, again, a team from IIT Delhi and IIT Madras, and again, they can work on products used by developers. So again, it's dev for dev, which is a pretty cool kind of concept. They give generous ESOPs. This is the right time to actually go and join SigNoz. They're based out of Bangalore. And Kwanzoo, as I told you, is basically sales and marketing, customer success at global B2B companies. You can get a view on their cloud stack. You can get a view for vis-a-vis their customers. And basically, the leadership here has come from Oracle and Microsoft. This is actually founded by a batchmate of mine, same 1984 batch. Worked together in the Valley at some point in time. I came back in 2002, but Mani, who's the CEO, continues to be there. But they are setting up essentially a team in Bangalore, and this is again, and then you do get a chance to actually go to the Bay Area. So again, a fairly exciting company, which is well funded. So I just wanted to put this out there also. And all of this will be available on the slides, and you should basically just refer to this conversation and my name, and then just drop them a note. I think Pranjal can enable that. So why not startups? Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, it's passe, because time is on your side. Okay. What large companies offer is obviously stability, salary, structured career development on rails, which means, you know, okay, I'll go work there for 2 years, then I'll go get an MBA, I'll go to INSEAD, Wharton. All of you guys are bright. You can crack the GMAT scores, get like 730, 740, 770, whatever, and get into these MBA programs. Probably in some cases, you may have to take a loan. People do that, but it's essentially, as far as I'm concerned, it's a boring career, because anytime I work for large companies, after 2 years, I give up, because it's a whole bunch of meetings and a lot of waste of time. Okay. And essentially what you'll be exposed to is some peer profit and loss management. You'll have a slow, steady paced learning. So for some people, it might be okay. A very structured organizational development, minimal risk versus reward compared to startups. So I just wanted to put this up there as a contrast. I'm sure people like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley and all, which are also run by IITM guys, will come and kind of pitch you on, or we'll give you a big salary. But I think that is something which can safely be ignored in the first 2 years after you graduate, because it's not going to actually give you any kind of extra boost 2 years from now. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Again, this is my view, because at the end of the day, we believe in startups, and we've helped a lot of IITM startups come out and actually scale. So you should basically at least pay heed to it and not ignore startups who are coming to actually try and hire you, and just reach out to them proactively also. Okay, and then I wanted to actually add a little bit of stuff on Joy Thomas Center for Career Excellence. All of you probably have heard of Joy Thomas, who was my batchmate from 1984. He was All India JE #1, went to Stanford, was basically a guru on information theory. He actually, his book is basically still a Bible, and he published his book while he was doing his PhD. And so he passed away this August, unfortunately. I mean, we really don't know why, but like essentially it could have been COVID, need not have been COVID, but like he had a heart attack and essentially is no more now. So God bless his soul. But we as the 1984 batch wanted to continue something. And one of the things we realized was that we needed a center for career excellence, which was a little bit more global in thinking, and basically help the graduating students to actually land the kind of jobs that they want, and basically follow a career which would be kind of ongoing, and then connect them with alums, so that it becomes a very dynamic thing, which is not there today. It's pretty much discrete. So this bit of the presentation, I'd like your feedback, and there's a form at the end. It'd be great if you can just kind of go in and fill the form. Basically, these are the things that it'll cater to: mentoring, career guidance, internships, employment, and continuing education. I think you'll need all of that in some way, shape, or form as you go through IIT and beyond IIT. And these are some of the things which, from an architecture standpoint, we're actually putting some things together. So mentoring will be done email, Zoom, video, and Discord. I think a lot of you people are using Discord and voice chat. Career guidance will be provided by life skills communication, basic things like intros, and again, it'll be all online as much as possible. Internships from alums, collaborative work across IITs, we'll try to encourage that, because once we have this online platform, we can actually do a lot more. And then essentially allow everything to happen. Of course, we may actually put out some specific NPTEL courses which can actually help you vis-a-vis career guidance. Today we have only technology courses, but we may actually introduce a few which are relevant to career guidance and career excellence. So this is basically a view of that. And why do we need? I think I don't need to mention that. It's basically something which all leading US universities and global universities use, and IIT is a little bit lagging. And our goal is to basically get IIT Madras at least to the level of an MIT or a Stanford in terms of all of this, because we have some phenomenal alums who are out there in very, very kind of positions that can kind of help IIT Madras, very senior positions, like all across. I mean, at least like there are 50 or 60 alums who are basically either president or CEOs of large companies in the US and in India. And we want to get them to be accessible in some way, shape, or form to the graduating IIT Madras batch, as well as actually talk to the third year folks and get them prepped up for employment through appropriate training and mentoring, etc. Right? And each of the IITs today operate as a silo. I can tell you that because given the fact that I've been a prof, I've been an entrepreneur, I've been a senior exec in companies, and the fact that I'm an investor, I know that IITs operate in a silo, and this is not good for graduating students in the future. Okay, so this is basically, we just say, what are you passionate about? What is important for you? What can this career Center of Career Excellence help you with? And please fill out the survey. There's a survey form, and stay engaged with us. And with that, I'll stop and open it up for questions. Anirban, can you moderate questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think the thing would be, whoever wants to go first, just raise your hand and then unmute yourself. Just introduce yourself and ask questions. I think we have a good 20 minutes in front of us, so could be able to take about 4 or 5 or 6 questions.
Yeah, I think Srihari wants to ask a question. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Can you just speak up a little, Srihari?
So myself, Shriyari, I am pursuing BTech in Civil Engineering. I am a freshie. I joined this year only to IIT Madras.
Okay.
So I want to just ask that, is there a proper time to start a startup? Because we hear a lot about that. You will get time to do this, you will get time to do that. Just focus on academics first. Then you will think about startups and all. So I just wanted to ask if you have a proper idea. So should we wait or should we just work on it?
I think if you have a good idea, which is pretty good, you should work on it, not wait, because I think waiting doesn't help you. But that doesn't mean you tool around and get a U grade in your course. Okay, make sure you graduate.
Okay.
I would encourage you to actually start doing prototypes, building prototypes, etc. I do that even now, and I'm 58 years old, so I still look at code right now. So there's nothing wrong. You should do it.
Okay.
Sure. I think the next question is from Shashank. Please raise his hands. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I am also from Civil Department, freshie, and we are a group of 4 to 5 students who are planning on a startup. So basically, we have a raw idea right now. So instead of going deep into it, shall we first create good content about what we are right now, work in silently on it, and then go in for it in the second or the third year, or shall we start doing both the things simultaneously?
So I think the most important thing, Shashank, is basically get yourself a mentor. Say, for example, I'm more than happy to spend a couple of Saturdays with you, 45 minutes each, to listen to your idea and give you feedback saying what will work, what will not work. Get that first. Then you take the next step, right? Whether it's in your second year or whatever. But if you don't do that, you will try to build something which may or may not work. That will be frustrating.
Yes, sir. Because right now we are very, immature right now. We have the idea, but we don't.
But Shashank, even I'm immature at the age of 58. Okay.
Okay. So how can we connect to you? Hello.
I get 10 ideas a day. Whenever I get an idea, I talk to my seniors, I talk to my peers, and they come back and say, this has been done, this has not been done. I get very, very valuable feedback. That's very important for you.
Okay, sir. So how can we connect to you?
Anirban or Pranjal. Okay.
Guys, any more questions? Anything related to placements versus startups, or anything else that you have in mind? Do we not have 4th year students here?
I'm not sure. We had opened it up for both IIT Tirupati, IIT Pallakad, and IIT Madras, and I was hoping it would be all 4th year students because it's close to placement time. That's why we put this up.
I don't see a lot of questions coming your way, Srikanth.
Okay, fine. If there are no more questions, what we'll do is essentially stop the presentation. You have essentially all the information with Pranjal and with Anirban. Please feel free to reach out and please fill the career excellence form, survey form. That will be wonderful. Pranjal, if you can organize that, that will be great. And My email address is srik@ventureeast.net. VentureEast spelled with 1e.net. Anirban can actually kind of text it out to all you guys who are attending it.
Yeah.
And with that, I shall close the presentation. Thank you very much for taking time and attending it. And hopefully it was clear enough. And if there are any issues, let us know. We will record it and we'll keep it for other students later to kind of listen to this whole thing.
So will the recording be shared?
A recording will be put up by Pranjal on whatever forum is there for IIT. We will put it up on our website, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nimisha.
Actually, people want your email ID, Srikanth.
So you want me to put it out there, or you can just type it?
Yeah, I think I can just.
Let me see.
I've just sent out your email ID. It's SRIK, the initials of Srikanth, SRIK@ventureeast.net.
Yeah. Yeah, and feel free to send me an email. Okay, I mean, I will respond, and especially since you guys are part of the CCX, which I'm going to be driving, the later part of the slide, which I was talking about. So I will be very proactive, and VenturEast as a investor has always been very active with IIT Madras. We've actually incubated a lot of companies out of IIT Madras Research Park, as well as the Tenet set of companies under Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala. So we have at least 20 years working history with IIT Madras, and we want to continue it. So just feel free to reach out to us.
Since there are no more questions, I think we can just end this here and disperse.
Sure.
All right. Great.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.